Okay, so tonight we're talking about aligning our heart and mind with our reason for being, so the light can come through, the light of who we are. So if we see it in this respect again, the light of who we are getting into our hearts. Now, in order for that to happen, our heart needs to be in position to receive the light of who we are. And that relates to attitudes of thankfulness, holding attitudes of thankfulness, appreciation, patience, and for those who are spiritually, biblically inclined, praise to the Lord, you can say, and praise to others. So the way I see it is that we need to have a rudder of our heart, and that rudder of our heart is our conscious mind. And if there's just one primary responsibility our conscious mind has, is to keep our heart fixed in attitudes that allows for the light of who we are to be received and affirmed in our heart. And when that happens, it brings clarity. It brings clarity, you can say, to our gut, to actually our focus of what we're here to provide, extending out in an integrated life-giving influence. Now, what happens when things come along, like maybe even things today, when you felt pressed, maybe you were jamming a little bit. I know I had to jam a little bit today and I was catching myself with that. So I had to go through this process, and Sharon knows this process well, but I'm going to share it again for all of us. And I've made it even more, a little more clear. So this is the messenger RNA process I use as needed. Now, I coined this even before the messenger RNA vaccine was known to the general public. So messenger, M stands for messenger, R stands for recognize, N stands for neutralize, and A stands for appreciate. So here, when we're all lined up, the light is being received into our hearts, it's getting out into the world. But when things happen, when our heart begins to be impacted by something, by someone may have said, or maybe our schedule is cramping up a little bit and we feel like things are cramping up or shrinking down, and our mind may get twisted. And then instead of something extending out from us, actually things feel like everything is caving in on us. So at that moment, we have a choice to make, either to default to patterns of shame, fear, hate, greed, which if we do default and stay defaulting in those attitudes, that accelerates aging and we get old before our time. But if we can make a choice deliberately where we upright ourselves, again, uprighting our posture puts us more into, you can say, a command of our own soul, and we just breathe. And we breathe in and we breathe out. We breathe in slow, we breathe out slower to activate what's called our parasympathetic nervous system. And we keep doing that until we can remember what we love, what you love. And as we do that, it brings perspective. It brings a letting go of, where we begin to see, I need to let go of that. I need to curb that. I need to temper that. I need to let go of that. And then we might apply need for forgiveness for ourselves for getting spun up. But we may also need to apply forgiveness for someone we're with who may be spun up in shame, fear, hate, and greed. Okay, there's a lot of forgiveness that's needed, not only for ourselves, but how we can extend that out into the world. And as we do that, we let go to the peace of understanding, where what before had impacted our heart and caught us off guard, you can say, it's neutralized by having that sense of a peace of understanding. And then we can reassume our positioning, our rightful positioning of our place that we fill with everyone, with those that are close to us, with all of nature, with all the animal world, with all the lower kingdoms that we're to provide a crowning creation for. And then it gives us a sensing of changing an oh no feeling when something happens, change to oh yes, because we realize that if I can meet this pattern of shame, fear, hate, and greed, it extends an influence out in the world for others to meet it in a similar way, but at least having a line of someone actually being victorious already with it. Let's look at this a little step further. I think we'll actually begin to lock this in a little bit even better. So here we have our 5 senses, and our 5 senses of seeing, smelling, touching, hearing, and tasting, our 5 senses. And those five senses have, you can say, a neurological connection to our gut, our solar plexus, but also to what's called our subconscious mind, where things are integrated in that way. And in our subconscious or our gut, we have a gut feeling that relates to our sixth sense, our intuition. Now, our intuition can be a great thing. It could be related to things we may have done over and over, where we sense this sense of intuition. Again, Trudine, Linda, June, Sharon, you had a sensing there of being with children, and you developed an intuition in that respect. Okay? And that relates to our perception from the world, taking in from our five senses, which filters, you can say, begins to have a conscious awareness of our sensing in that respect from that gut intuitive feeling. But there's something more here. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's something beyond our sixth sense, and that's our seventh sense, where there's an understanding perception from above, not just from the world, but from above relating to actually the essence of light that we are, received into our hearts, and then opened. It filters, it's pitched into our conscious awareness of our seventh sense from above. And you may have had a sensing, maybe working with children or other examples, where something you just dawned on you, where it wasn't so much from a world perception, but it was a perception you didn't know maybe where it came from, but it was a perception of something solid, real, filtering into your conscious mind from above. So if that's making sense to you, then let's look at this next. Looking at it in terms of sometimes our sixth sense, intuition, may be actually a little off kilter, where there might be a sense, a little bit of actually, you can say, subjective judgment towards our world. And when that's the case, then we might actually begin to act out of a sense of haste, where we sense, we quickly make a judgment on something and we act quickly out of it. We may say something quickly, where it might get us into a little bit of a trouble spot. Where if we have a seventh sense, understanding perception from above, there is an acting out of poise, where we sense, okay, now I can slow down a little bit. I can let go of the haste. I can be patient in this moment. Okay? And we have to see too, now this lends itself to opening up. What does it take to open up the seventh sense? And that relates to soft fascination opens the seventh sense. This is a picture Robert took while we were on a trip up to the Highlands in North Carolina. We love this place, and I know June can relate to North Carolina, the love, the beauty there. And I love going up to the Highlands in North Carolina, and it just totally relaxes my mind. It opens up something called soft fascination, which are experiences of appreciation that broaden and soften your attention, that gently engage the brain's attention without unhelpfully concentrating it, bringing replenishment, serendipity, alignment of heart and mind. Okay, let's end the recording here.